Hey folks, your OS Reviews. You're watching our video first look and a quick review of the Bluedio BS-3. This is a stereo Bluetooth speaker which retails for under 40 bucks on Amazon and eBay. This is the bigger brother to the BS2, which we also reviewed on this channel a few months back, and comes in the same color variants, but packs a bigger driver which gives you more volume output and more impressive bass. It's still made out of plastic as opposed to more expensive aluminum or metal materials, but offers pretty good dynamic audio quality and has this interesting 3D mode which works quite well if you're watching movies. It has a Bluetooth version 4.1, so it connects up to 10 meters or 33 feet with any phone or computer, and you can see that it also includes an auxiliary port, which means that you can use it as a traditional wired speaker if you don't want to use wireless Bluetooth. Taking a quick look at some of the specifications, if we turn this all the way in the back, you can see the drivers on here are 52 millimeters, which is again a boost from the BS2 and features the same controls on the top for playing, pausing your music. There's also a mic, so you can use it to answer phone calls and use it as a speakerphone with Android or iOS, and it charges simply using micro USB. So if we take this off to the side, you can see the packaging here is pretty impressive. Again, it comes in a few different color models. If you want to get it as a gift for someone, you can select and customize it. There are a few accessory packets in here. The first one is for the instruction manuals. Comes in a few different languages from German to English, Chinese, so on and so forth. And here we have the charging cable, which again is standard micro USB, in addition to the auxiliary cable for a wired connection. Fully charging the speaker takes under 3.5 hours to complete. So let's set everything to the side and just take a look at the design of the BS-3 first. Again, it's significantly larger than the previous BS2 that we reviewed. The construction here still feels quite solid. The front plate and also the back, which features the passive radiator for the enhanced bass, are both made out of aluminum, so it adds some protection and some premium quality to the construction. But the front here and all the keys and the controls are still made out of plastic and rubber, but it feels pretty good. The only thing I'm not a huge fan of is how they stamped Bluedio onto the front. I wish that this would have been maybe etched in aluminum, or they could have popped it somewhere else, because if you look very closely, it's not the most elegant thing in the world. But regardless, again, we have the same controls on the top, inclusive of navigating through the various modes, pairing it for the first time, power key, the 3D key for that special effect, and volume controls. These are all pretty tactile and responsive, easy to press, and risen above the surface of the speaker. On the side here, you have access to the micro USB port for charging and the auxiliary input, and that's essentially it. The bottom just features rubber feet that prevents it from sliding around on a surface or a desk. So this is still a rather portable speaker, although it is, I would say, about 1.5 times larger than the BS2. So it still is manageable if you are taking it with you when traveling. And this isn't a waterproof speaker, as you can tell by the ports, which aren't fully covered. So if you are taking it with you to the beach or somewhere wet, make sure that you're a little bit more careful with this speaker. In audio test next, I'll mention that the battery life of the BS3 is rated at around 5 hours, and I got roughly 5.5 in my testing. It's still a little bit on the lower side of the spectrum if you compare it with other mid-sized Bluetooth speakers, which can get maybe 8 to 10 hours of performance. So if you are on the road, I would suggest bringing a power bank, but otherwise, it still works quite well, since these do get extremely loud, so it fills up spaces. And of course, with 5 hours, you can already play back quite a few tunes or a few movies in there. So let's tap on play. And this is on the most quiet setting in terms of volume, both on the phone as well as on the speaker. So minus just takes it all the way down. If we toggle into 3D mode, So we can pause the music by tapping on the power key once when you are paired with a device, and you can also use that power key tapping once to answer or reject a phone call when it comes in. So that's a multifunction key. So as you guys heard from that brief audio test, the sound quality here is very clear. Even if you pause the music or connected, you can hear that there's no static or distortion at all coming from the speaker, which is pretty rare for a low-cost Bluetooth speaker. You'll tend to hear a bit of static or some lack of clarity since you're using wireless Bluetooth as opposed to a traditional 3.5mm cable. But on here, it seems to do really quite well. Even if you turn the volume all the way up or all the way down, it's quite clear. So that's definitely a great sign that Bluedio has put in here aptX certification and other technology just to make that Bluetooth still sound really good. It's not quite high fidelity or audiophile grade, but it definitely works, quite well for listening to your music, whether it's electronic music, popular music, or even classical music. You can definitely appreciate and hear the nuances in here. Otherwise, you'll notice that when I tried the 3D mode, I couldn't really hear a massive difference, between what was being played before versus afterwards. Perhaps the audio channels were separated a little bit more, so if you are standing further away from the source in the room, you could hear the effect a bit more, and it tends to work slightly better as well if you're listening to speech or if you're watching a movie with the soundtrack in the background. But for general music, I would say 3D or no 3D doesn't produce the biggest difference. The most important thing is that these produce a lot of volume, especially if you turn the volume all the way up. That was only at roughly 30%, and it really got quite loud and filled up the space without any problems. So definitely good enough to use as a mini boombox for parties. Bass is definitely present, but I think it still could be a little stronger considering this is significantly larger than the BS2. I expected the lower frequency to be a bit more thumpy, but it's good, but it's still quite balanced right now. That overall, I think, is a word to describe the BS3. They sound very balanced, no matter if you're listening to, let's say, pop music or if you're listening to classical music. They do a good job with a wide array of genres, but they're not especially pointed or, super exceptional at one particular genre, which makes them, again, pretty good choice for a low-cost speaker to use across various purposes, whether it's just music or, again, watching movies. Something, as a size comparison, we can put this next to an iPod Touch 5th Gen, so this has a 4-inch display, so you get a better idea of what the size of the speaker actually is, so that's something that you have to keep in mind if you, again, are taking it with you. But all in all, we are pretty impressed with the audio experience on here. It's clean, it's crisp sounding, and again, it's quite balanced at the sub $40 range. I would say that compared to the BS2, this is going to benefit people who really want a speaker with more volume, with a larger drivers. So perhaps if you have a larger room or a larger house, you could consider picking this up. And it definitely fills up that space with still top-notch quality. But if you are constantly on the go, you want something portable, you want something that's waterproof and element-proof, perhaps there are other options that you can consider. Regardless, I think that Bluedio did a pretty good job with the BS3. It's solid in terms of both the build as well as the audio experience, and it has a few tricks up its sleeve that you don't see in other speakers in the same price bracket. You can learn more information about these in our official written review coming out soon, but for now, this has been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews. This has been the Bluedio BS-3 wireless Bluetooth speaker.